Hi, I'm Michelle, and welcome to Mind Body Business Collective podcast. I am Michelle from the Holistic Chamber of Commerce Severna Park chapter, and this is Mandy.
And I am the Signature Program School Liaison for the chapter.
And we wanted to talk a little bit today. Mandy and I have been working with the school system in the local area, gathering up some more organic networking and more so just looking at providing the community to learn about all the different holistic means that are in the area. And
Right.
instead of just our businesses, we're really finding that going to networking events kind of leaves you a little bit dry. Doesn't really, I find it doesn't really put forth who I am, because being in a big room of people, I tend to freeze up.
Right.
And we were discussing that, and Mandy was talking about the two different types of people when you go.
Yeah. So basically, when you go networking, I've been networking for several years now in the area, and when you network, you have the people that are there to really listen, be helpful, and it's not about what's in it for them. It's about what they can do to help connect other people. And then you have the people that are kind of on the opposite end of the spectrum. They are there to either collect business cards or just basically to get what's in it for them. And you can almost tell these people when you're talking to them, you can kind of see that they're not listening, they're not engaging, they're not keeping eye contact with you. They don't really want to get to know you. They just want to get your business card or not and move on to the next person.
Well, and they may even be new to the circuit or not comfortable. And
Right.
so therefore they're doing what their definition of networking is.
True.
And sometimes you end up falling a little flat, a little short, and it ends up kind of, it depends on who you are, with my business and what I do, it ends up kind of zapping me. I don't really network on days that I work because I have trouble adjusting to hearing people tell me what they do. I don't really retain any of that. I also don't shop on days that I work either. My kids were put on restriction. No grocery shopping, no nothing, because I can't count money on days that I work. I do body work and cranial sacral work for a living. So for me, my whole other mind kicks in and I'm in the intuitive state. And so for me, I have really found something that I've been missing in my life was volunteering. For about a year and a half, we've been talking about starting up our business, and everything became about my husband's and my business. And we just really, and we even said, oh my gosh, that's all we're doing is talking about business. And I started really, really noticing recently that it was taking a toll on me as a person. So I find being able to find something that I'm passionate about and just have organic conversations with somebody works so much better. And it is always good to have your information on hand, whether you have a business card. I actually stick mine in the back of my phone. There's a little, you can either pop the thing off your phone and put it in there, but I also have like a little credit card holder. But I find out that I give the Holistic Chamber of Commerce out a lot more than my own card. And I have pamphlets and things like that, in my car. And but people aren't always in your area. I can't do things, Mandy, you can.
Right, I can work with
You can
anybody.
do things out of the area. I can't, but I will still be there for somebody to give them the information. I think it's really important to make sure that your connection is genuine and having that connection with somebody and then moving on and never talking to them again, but being able to give them that, I find that really rewarding. And so I guess I'm one of the connectors.
Right. Yeah, I mean, providing free value to people is huge. Even if it's somebody that you can't directly work with for whatever the reason is, being able to provide them something that's tangible that they can take away from it keeps you in their mind. And then if they speak with somebody in the area that can work with you, that might be a good fit, then they can say, oh, you know what? I met this really great person. Her name's Michelle. This is the type of work she does. I think you might be a really good fit. And then they can reach out to you. So really being able to provide that information. I volunteer, obviously. I work with the Holistic Chamber of Commerce. We work in the school system. I'm also on the Anne Arundel County Commission for Women. I'm a commissioner there. It's also volunteer work. And I don't promote my business at all. Nobody there asks me what I do for a living, which is actually kind of refreshing. And we work mainly with women and children in the area just to be a liaison and a connector, so that they're aware of the programs, the events, and things that are offered in and around the county. And it's opened up my eyes a lot to the struggles that we have. We have a lot of income disparity and things like that. Our county's very large, it's very diverse. And so we're pretty unique in the state in that regard. And, you know, I've learned a lot about different areas that we struggle with here. And so I find that I get a lot of personal value from being a volunteer that way, even if it doesn't help my business. But one of the things I've also found is that it helps me by connecting me with the right people. So I'm getting ready to write a piece that hopefully I'll be able to work with some people within the county to get some information on, so that would be fantastic. And when you have ins like that, these little pieces of information or somebody that you've met, it makes things so much easier. And that's, like you said, being a connector just really helps you be able to put people together,
Well,
whether
and
now or in the future.
And, you know, we talked about in America, one of the first few questions, the top 2 questions somebody asks you, what do you do for a living? And in other countries, they don't really do that. You know, they talk about family and they talk about passions, and that's why I think and you don't even have to be volunteering. I mean, it can come up in grocery stores and things like that. When we're talking about volunteering, we're not talking about doing your business for free.
Right.
We're talking about finding like-minded people, people that have the same passions as you do, and you're also not looking to book every single person that you come in contact with. Not everybody's going to fit your business. You're not going to want to do everything with everybody. I know even in my friends group, there are certain friends that there are certain topics that we don't necessarily see eye to eye on, so we just don't bring up that topic, and you can still be friends, which of course is almost against everything in social media, because you learn a little too much. But you know, I think it's important to know that you can completely bond on certain areas and then have a difference of opinion on another area and still really have a good friendship as well as a good working relationship. You know, I have clients that come in and they'll just sit there and talk to me about politics, and they want to talk their entire session. And, you know, and that's what helps them to relax. And that's kind of how, you know, how they are with me, and that's great. I have others that don't want to talk at all. And there's a connection with that person, or they would not be comfortable. And I think your comfort zone goes across to almost every job that you do, and no matter what career you're in, I think that you need to find that relatedness.
Right, I agree with you.
And you know, when you walk into, like you're saying, you walk into a networking event, and you do know the people for the most part, and you do tend to go towards the people that, well, I go to the people that I already know.
Right.
And I always thought that was funny that I go to the people that I already know, because they already know what I do and all of that. And if you're there for networking, but that's always my comfort zone. And I find, like, I've been out of touch a little bit because we've been doing a lot with our other business. And so it's been a little bit frustrating that I'm constantly reaching out to people on social media saying, can we get together? But I'm more so doing one-on-ones now, and it's not a one-on-one business meeting. You know, these are people I made connections with. So when I go to a networking event, I figure I'll probably see 1 or 2 new people that I will make a contact with. And to me, that's successful networking.
Right. I always make sure one of my goals whenever I go to a networking event is to connect with at least 2 people that I don't already know. And if their business or what they do or who they are as a person resonates with me, then I'll reach out to them. I always make sure I get their business card. I reach out to them after the fact and say, hey, can we get together for a one-on-one? Learn a little bit more about each other. Even if it's not a business, you know, even if we can't make a business connection, making that personal connection is great, because then you have more people. It's always nice being that go-to person when you're talking to anybody. It could be somebody in the grocery store, could be a friend, could be a relative, and say, oh, you have this problem? Well, I have a person that has a solution for you. Being able to be that connector and that helper is huge.
It is, and I find that it just makes me feel better when I'm
Right.
able to be there for other people too, and it's exciting. I think one of my favorite things is when I was constantly going running with a group, and I was volunteering with a particular group, and so we were running with OEW, Operation Enduring Warrior, and it was very rewarding because when I used to go running, I used to complain about my running, and I heard this group one time, and they were cheering each other on, and there were people that had been wounded in the service,
Mhm.
and I was like, wow, what am I complaining about? Because here they have all these really severe injuries, and I was starting to get better from my stuff, and so we ended up with this really great running group, and we hung out on the outside, but we also networked each other with other people. And we spent a lot of time together, and then it turned out that we had this completely eclectic group that you would never think would fit together. And, you know, we kind of have the same thing in our gym side of our fitness center, you know, of our holistic center. And we have a mishmash of people, and they all connect really well. And that's why when you were saying when you walk in, it's not like what a person looks like.
Mhm.
It's a type of person,
Right.
and it is nice to find somebody when they're new, when they're not working, to be able to go up and say, yes, so you might want to share something personal about yourself, or you know, I do find that I connect better with people that I very rarely at a networking talk to people about what I do, and I sometimes will get upset if somebody asks me what I do because I don't want to. If I'm talking about my work at networking, it gets me at a whole different mindset. Like I said, I can't network and work on the same day.
Yeah. I think
Yours
that's
is a little
probably-
different,
I
but
think that's a little unusual because I feel like most people can do both. I mean, I agree with you to a degree. When I get in the zone and I'm writing, then I definitely don't want to be disturbed. But I can, I can go out and do things kind of on the same day and kind of flip that switch, so to speak, when I'm out at networking events, meeting people and things like that.
yeah, I think being able to have a good conversation, and I think we talked about it before, most entrepreneurs do have the ability to have those good conversations. I remember I had to hire somebody to come and take care of a problem that I had in my house. We live right by a farm, and whenever we would have hurricanes, the water would rise up, and we were up on the top of the hill, so we would end up with mice. And it got really bad at one time because we had back-to-back hurricanes, and we now had snakes and baby snakes. And the man who came out, the exterminator, he was like, look, I just got a bike, and I really want to go down to the beach this weekend, and I have to tell you that all of your neighbors are calling me, and I really don't want to do this work. He said, you already have everything that you need. And he's like, I'm just going to tell you what you need to do with it, and once you get rid of the mice, your snakes will go away. And he told me exactly what I needed to do, and he said, your neighbors are all paying about $500 for this service. And he said, but you're a single mom, and I really want to be there for you. And I have to tell you, I still recommend his business whenever, and it's been 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I recommend his business because the honesty that he came forward with, and he was so funny. He's, I really just want to go to the beach. He's like,
Can't argue there.
he's like, I got a new bike and I don't want to work this weekend. And you
Right.
know, and that just goes a long way, having that honesty and that sharing and the caring and everything. And you know, so you can also be networking and give things away, and that's what we talked about. Don't give things away for free because you don't want to. You want to get something for your business. A lot of people say, well, I have a great opportunity for you. I want you to come and massage at my bachelorette party. And they want you to do it for free, and they feel like that's an opportunity. And I find that's almost like, nothing against Grouponners because I Groupon, but a lot of Grouponners just look for the cheap deals.
Right.
You know, and so people that are looking for freebies might get freebies. But if you genuinely in your heart want to give that, then
That's different.
yeah, you're genuinely giving it away. Like my dad used to say, if you have $1,000 to give away to somebody, then loan it to them. You know, but assume you're giving it away.
Right. Yeah. Don't
Because
expect you're gonna get it back.
don't let it ruin your friendship.
Right. For sure.
You know, and there is a lot to say for that. I mean, we've been working with the school system now, and that's been really great. I've been doing stuff with the school system that has really not a whole lot to do with what I do.
Right.
But, you know, our name is getting out there, but the reward was in after I spoke with about 150 people yesterday, and I do not like speaking in front of crowds. A lot of people gave positive feedback, and it just felt really good knowing that those teachers bring it to the students, which bring it to their homes. And so now you're making a difference in the community in a whole different way.
Right.
You know, and that's like the volunteering that you're doing, that you're saying they don't even know what you do.
Right.
Like how nice is that to
Yeah.
not have to be that part of you, because
Mhm.
working, your job is a part of you, it's not all of you.
Right.
Even if it's a passion.
Right. That's true. That's true.
Well, so I think we're going to sign off for now. And I know that Mandy and I were talking about doing another podcast on social media
Yeah.
networking.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
The
Mandy
differences
has-
with networking online versus in person.
Yeah, and I think Mandy has a lot to say about that.
Yeah.
So, and I'm going to talk about how I falter with that. So it'll be an interesting one. But thank you very much, and we look forward to seeing you on our next podcast. And have a great day.
Thanks, everybody.